Kanika Williams is a single mom of 4 boys living in Cleveland, Ohio. She has 3 part-time jobs, cleaning homes, delivering food with DoorDash, and sorting mail for UPS. She's active at her kids' schools, cooks them dinner every night, and stays present in their lives.
Being around my kids, that's like the number one. So my kids motivate me. I want us to have stuff. I want us to do stuff.
Kanika puts her life together like sections of a quilt, caring for her sons, making money, spending time with friends. Each piece is sewn together intentionally.
When I have a roof over my head, I know when my small necessary bills are paid. Necessary meaning lights, water, gas, insurance, rent. I'm not talking about Netflix or any of those wanted things. Once I have those things taken care of, I have freedom.
Kanika has a medical technician degree, and the rise of gig work has given people like Kanika some level of autonomy. But she reminisces about how things used to be for previous generations. Her mother, Brenda, just retired from her decades-long job as a janitor at an elementary school.
I went to that school when I was in first grade. And that's where she's retiring from. So those 30-year jobs, those 40-year jobs are gone for us unless we start right now.
All right. As you can see in that video, she was talking about how her mom worked for the school for 30, 40 years. Well, in our case, 2023, that is, it's very hard to get a job and to say, hey, I'm going to be there for 30 or 40 years because, one, technology is eliminating people every single day. Second, the jobs are not paying enough to sustain a lifestyle with the inflation that grocery, cars, housing costs. So these are the reasons that many people are leaning towards, small gigs or taking a leap of faith and believing in themselves and not working a normal job because, as you can see, the job is not really paying. A job is may not pay enough to cover your living expenses with the cost of living right now. So let's keep watching. But 30, 40-year jobs nowadays is very rare. So let's keep watching the video.
Jobs are gone for us unless we start right now.
Between her gig work at $20 an hour and her UPS job at $16.50 an hour, both above Ohio minimum wage, she says she brings home roughly $1,500 a month. What is your definition of a living wage?
Being able to afford your bill, your monthly bills, being able to put a portion back for savings, and I think for me in my household, if I was to make $3,500 a month.
What would that extra money, what would that get you?
That'll get all bills paid, a little bit in the bank, and maybe that oil change I'm
Union trouble.
The debate over how much workers should get paid in America has a contentious history. It took decades of strikes, debates, and a Great Depression for Congress to pass a law in 1938 establishing a federal minimum wage. The federal minimum wage was last raised to $7.25 an hour in 2009, and wage growth has not kept pace with labor productivity, so workers are more efficient, but they have less to show for it, studies have found. Since 1980, most American workers have seen modest income growth, but income for the top 1% has grown much faster.
Everybody who works for a living deserves to be paid a wage that honors the value of the work that they're doing.
All right. As you can see, the whole goal of having a job is for, if you work in a full-time job, a job should be able to provide you to be able to pay your bills for a decent living. So that's the issue we're facing right now is you can get a job, a good job, and work 40 hours a week and still be pretty much broke. And that's because the cost of living is way higher than what our paychecks represent. So in order for you to get ahead nowadays, you need to do 2 jobs, 3 jobs just to pay your bills we're not even talking about investing, because that's like, oh, that's why people are so far behind, because people only have enough money to pay their bills. Then they have a little money for leisure. And then they on the train ready to get the next paycheck so they can survive. So we have to figure out how to get the paychecks to equal the cost of living. That's the #1 goal in the United States right now. Let's keep watching.
Policy Institute.
For the last several decades, there's been a real disconnect between how much wealth working people are producing and what's being reflected in their pay.
What do you attribute that to?
I think it comes down to power. Larger share of all of the wealth that's produced in our economy is being consolidated by the very wealthy and by corporations as well. Working people are being less successful than they have in the past in bargaining for their share of the wealth that they make possible.
How did you guys meet?
We met upstate New York.
We were just friends at first. I actually told my friend I was working with that the guy who trained me was really cute, but too short for me. And then we made plans to hang out on a Saturday. And everyone we were working was just like, is it a date? Is it a date? I think we got home at like 1, 2 in the morning.
That's a good date. So you got over the height thing.
Yeah.
When Taylor and Maggie Mendez started a new life in Florida, things were bumpy. Maggie working overnights at Dunkin', making $11 an hour, which at the time was $1 above the state's minimum wage. Taylor was working a factory job, and both DoorDashed on the side.
We went through some hard times, but it built character, and it made us a lot stronger than we were before.
Then Taylor got a job, a teller at TD Bank in Melbourne, Florida. A group called Family Promise helped them with emergency shelter and meals and taught them how to budget. Taylor's new boss helped them find housing.
Once I got into banking, I knew that the skies were the limit from there.
But between his job, Maggie's overnight shift, and taking care of their 2 little ones, they never saw each other. Then their daughter got into a brand new school, but there's no bus. So Maggie quit her job to watch the kids and drive their daughter to and from school every day.
Have a good day, sweetheart.
You should always try to appreciate what you have, The prices of everything, of cars, of food, of housing, has gone up so much, and income has not gone up a drop. I'm making a decent wage for what I make, and there's a lot of people making a lot less than I do, and I have no idea how they're making it.
Staggering new inflation numbers out today.
While high inflation has been making headlines since 2021, it certainly is not the first time in our country's history.
Public enemy #1, inflation in 1974.
Inflation has risen steadily since 2005, reaching a 40-year high in 2022, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says. At the same time, real wages adjusted for inflation have only risen slightly. That's led to a growing call to raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $15 an hour. Congress has debated the issue, with proponents arguing it will lift people out of poverty.
No one should work as millions are doing today, 40 hours a week at a job, and still live below the poverty line.
And critics saying it will cost jobs.
If there is too much of an increase too rapidly, they will be forced to shrink their workforces.
30 states and 4 territories have already increased the minimum wage above federal law. New York is one of those.
All right. So as you can see, right? All right. My advice for this situation is look at, it's a store called Buc-ee's in Florida and Texas, Costco's. But these stores are aware that people can't afford to live off $15 an hour. So you know what they did? They raised their minimum wage to $20 an hour at a gas station. Buc-ee's is a large gas station chain, but they're brand new. And I believe the world is catching on to, like, you need to be able to afford to pay people enough money so that they can go home and pay their bills and sleep at night. So we got to raise minimum wage. And when you raise minimum wage, or not even minimum wage, raise the pay you're paying your employees, and then you will get better employees. Because people can afford to pay their bills and they can make a living, they're going to take more pride in their work. So when you go to places and people are just going through the motion, that's because they feel like they're not getting paid the value they're putting out. They working here, they doing all this, and they can't even afford to put gas in their car. So that's the issue here. We got to business, and people are going and leaning towards working for themselves. That's why everybody want to be an entrepreneur nowadays, because the jobs are not paying enough. And then if the jobs start to pay more, that means their expenses are high too. Insurance, everything is high on everybody. So we have to find a median ground, because the people need to get paid more that's working for a job, and the jobs, they need more incentives so they can afford to pay these people more, because their cost is more too. That's why they're paying less. So it's a seesaw, and it's a balance that we have to figure out, but it's possible. Let's keep going.
A design and printing company in Utica, New York. He didn't have an easy upbringing. Raised by a single mom, he bounced from home to home until he became a ward of the state.
As a person that lived in poverty at certain points, knows what it's like to go to food pantries, grow up in group homes, I didn't have someone hold my hand to tell me how to make something of myself.
After college, he says he was making good money at a factory, but he had a side hustle and a dream. So when he was 25, he cashed in his 401k and, with hard work and grit, built his printing company from the ground up with his wife.
In America, we kind of lose focus on what hard work really is. We think 40 hours a week is all that we should have to contribute. And then when you look back at the early 1900s and even after that, most people were working 60, 70, 80 hours a week to be broke.
Howard likes to say his employees are family. He instituted a 4-day work week and pays them $1 above the current state minimum wage of $14.20 an hour. But when the state raised the minimum wage, he spoke up against it.
You're kind of leaving small business owners no choice when the state makes those mandates, because they have to take on the cost. So they have to innovate and stay ahead. Otherwise, the only option is to keep increasing pricing and hope that their customers keep coming through the door.
Why does the increase in pay for employees automatically mean the product has to be more expensive?
It doesn't always necessarily guarantee that, but in most cases, if they have a high turnover or things of that nature, you got to pay to promote the job, get the next person in, all those costs increase.
Why is it that when a government forces a wage increase, that contributes to inflation, but when other businesses are doing it, forcing you to drive up your wages, that's not contributing to inflation?
Well, it's a very good question, because one, when you're doing it as a business, you're doing it in a timeline that you can afford to do it. So it's controlled costs. When the government does it, it's forced, it's not controlled.
Kanika pieces together different sources of income to keep food on the table.
I'm functioning on beans, I ain't got no rice. Just, but how we make it work is put back what you take out. Got to put it back. As we get out there, we make it happen. We find a way.
Taylor works 30 to 40 hours a week at the bank at $20.50 an hour. This works out to about $2,500 a month. Kanika, Taylor, and Maggie all get some form of government help, like food stamps, Medicaid, and rental assistance. The fact that neither family can make ends meet without help begs the question, what constitutes a living wage? MIT has a living wage calculator, which looks at the cost of 8 basic needs in each county in the U.S. According to that, Taylor would need to make $37.97 an hour to support his family, nearly twice his current wage.
I mean, it's surprising, but sadly it's not surprising.
Living in Cuyahoga County, Kanika, who makes less than $20 an hour, would need to make $40.44 an hour, or roughly $84,000 a year. She says she's afraid to lose her benefits if she makes too much money.
Do you find, though, that the issue is if you make a certain amount, you won't be able to qualify for those anymore, but that extra amount doesn't replace the help you're getting?
It is exactly like that.
All right. This is a prime example when the person can take initiative and get better with their finances right here. Because, all right, listen to this. You haven't got to it yet, but the fact that you are not allowed to make more money, or they take away your food stamps or your housing assistance, and you say, well, you know what? I'm not going to make more money because they going to take away my food stamps. That's the person. That's your fault. You can't blame, the government or the world for that issue. I wouldn't say never, but I wouldn't want to neglect making more money so that I can't get some assistance from, food or benefits. So this is when it come to, you need to get better with your finances and learn how to manage your money and save and budget and live below your means, right? So say people could get opportunity to make more money. Don't say, well, no, I don't want to make more money because I can't live in that apartment, or are they gonna cut my food stamps? You got to take initiative and make more money and make better decisions. Your decisions are the reason where you at once you become a grown person. If you're back there, it's because of the decisions you made. If you're up there, it's because of the decisions you made. As a child, you don't have no choice for where you start at. But once you become an adult, you have the opportunity to make different decisions as an adult. That's part of being an adult. So take control of your finances and start focusing on making more. Make more income, because you can only budget so much. So focus on getting more money. And then once you get to a certain level of making more money, then you go back and you look at, all right, what expenses do I have that I can eliminate to increase that profit margin? So that's where we at. Find a balance. Let's go.
If you make a certain amount, you won't be able to qualify for those anymore, but that extra amount doesn't replace the help you're getting.
It is exactly like that. They're going to take probably Medicaid or food stamps. So now when you take my food stamps, what I'm trying to build is gone. You're not allowing me to do what the program is meant for. And the program is meant for people getting back to stabilization.
Despite their constant financial struggles, Kanika, Taylor, and Maggie are doing what families do all the time, making the most of what they have. Kanika isn't immune from worry, but she doesn't let it rule her life.
You don't have to, just because you're living on minimum wage doesn't mean you have to act like you poor, or you have to be all down and depressed all the time. Find the light.
All right, so as you can see, she just said it. It defeat the purpose of taking away the benefits, and then you struggling because now you got to pay for grocery, which grocery costs $1,000 every time you go now, right? So just the end of this video, you can do it. You got to believe in yourself. You got to take accountability, invest in you, and start learning more about finances, sales, marketing, reading, using YouTube. I got a lot of videos on here you can go back on how to make more money, on how to save, on how to raise your credit score. These are all important things that plays a factor in you being successful. I'm not talking about the whole world. I want you to be able to live the life that you vision in your mind. Everybody have their vision of the life they want to live, and you can't live that life with no resources. So I want you to start waking up early and devouring the first hour to yourself. Invest in your mental, your physical, and read and learn and take the knowledge. The knowledge is something they can never take away from you. And if you get the right information between these ears, you can use that job for what it is and advance yourself. Don't wait on the manager to advance your life, because you might be waiting another century. So my goal for you is to give yourself that promotion. It's not an overnight thing, but if you take small steps every day, you can start to see improvement in your finances. And at the end of the day, it's a light at the end of the tunnel. So God bless. Be great. If you want more information, you can reach out Georgesellhomes@gmail.com or Instagram George Do Real Estate. Peace.